Hello, y'all, and welcome back to Creators Spicy Tea, the podcast where we focus on keeping each other safe, sane, and flourishing in this wild west of the spicy adult content creation business. We are kind of stepping back in time, and we're revisiting a topic we've gone over in depth before, but we're looking at it with updated numbers. If you read the title, you know why we're here. We're going through pricing tips throughout your spicy business in 2024. This go around, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on thinking about the business aspects of pricing before we go deep on the service aspects of pricing. As we remember from last year, when we discussed this, there are certain things we need to take into account, and those things include our overhead, our cost of goods sold, and our inherent values throughout our business. So, let's dive on into each one. When we think about our overhead, we should be thinking about every single thing that we have to pay for to run our businesses. That is everything from our rent to our electricity bill to our phone bill, everything. And when we look at integrating this into our pricing strategy, we should be thinking of recouping a very small portion per sale. So let's break down some of the things that we can categorize as overhead. There are a million things we can categorize as overhead, but these are just some. Your space or your home office rent is 100% an overhead expense, and we definitely need to keep that one in mind. So to find the portion of your space rent your business should be covering, you can use this formula, strategy, plan, whatever you want to call it. First, you need to know the complete square footage of your home and the square footage of your office. Then divide your office square footage by your total home square footage. That's going to give you the percentage of the space you use for your home office. So, for example, I personally use 12% of my home for my business. Then multiply whatever percent you get by your rent, and that's how much of your rent you spend every month to run your business. That is an overhead expense. That is also a tax-deductible expense. Your Wi-Fi is also absolutely an overhead expense. So find out what your device usage is in your device settings. In my Android phone, I found it in settings and then data usage. Then estimate what percent of that is used specifically for your business. I estimated mine at a solid 50% of my overall home Wi-Fi usage. Then we need to consider our utilities, such as our electricity and our water. To find the percentage of your utilities you use monthly, we use that same percentage you found above. Simply multiply that percentage by your monthly utility bill, and that will give you how much you use for your business. So if we follow my example, I would multiply 12% by my electric bill to find what I need to recoup as my overhead. Alright, so I don't know if this one is going to be as big for y'all as it is for me, but subscriptions. Think your editing software, your storage platforms, your premium subscriptions, anything and everything that you pay for to help maintain your business digitally should be factored into your overhead costs. Even like your DMCA service is a big one. I personally, and this is such a painful number to have calculated out, I spend around $300 only on subscriptions every 2 months. That's painful. That's painful. Another utility we should keep in mind is our phone bill. Figure out the percentage of your phone usage you use to maintain your business. Then multiply that percentage by your phone bill, yada yada, same formula, and that's how you find out how much your phone is costing you monthly to run your business. And then think of the smaller things. How much did your props cost? Your lighting, your lingerie, all of those are overhead. And the last thing we're going to touch on that's a little bit more wishy-washy is your persona upkeep. This is your hair, your nails, your makeup, your waxing, and all of those personal upkeep things you do to maintain your persona. Keep in mind that of all of the things I have mentioned in our overhead, this is usually the one area that's not tax deductible. A quick example of this, the bottom layer of my hair is blue. At one point in time, I changed that color to purple, and the uproar was ridiculous. So, now a part of my overhead is keeping that bottom layer of my hair blue. We need to discuss cost of goods sold. I know we touched on this briefly in our 2023 pricing episode, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth on this for our 2024. So the cost of goods sold is more often looked at on a sale-by-sale basis, rather than breaking it up into portions for every sale. So examples of these would be requested props that you need to purchase for a custom, or disposable goods that you use for content. An example of this that I experienced, I had someone request that I do a 15-minute mukbang. You guys, have you ever eaten for 15 minutes straight? No talking, no breaks, just eating 15 minutes. Oh my God. Never again. Anyway, I had to order food and then have that food delivered to me. That food and that delivery rate was then a part of my cost of goods sold. The cost of goods sold definitely comes into play when we are discussing physical content. In physical content, we have a huge list to our cost of goods sold. We have the items itself that we're selling, the shipping costs, the mileage to get to the post office, the packaging costs, the stationery, any extras you send with it. The list goes on. Another aspect of our cost of goods that not everyone really thinks of would be that payment platform fee. So, for example, ManyVids is one of my payment platforms, and they take 20% from me. To offset this, I require buyers to pay that 20% on top of whatever their payment needed to be. Speaking of people taking our money from us, payment platforms aren't the only one that wants their hand in our honeypot. Taxes need to go into our cost of goods sold as well. Know what your tax rate is, and then have it calculated and tracked. Your cost of goods sold needs to be recouped every single sale, or you are going to go into a deficit on that sale. Quick example of this, if you have purchased a $150 pair of panties, and you turn around and you sell that for $50, you're now in the hole $100. So make sure you're recouping every single penny of your cost of goods sold. So now we gotta get into the deep shit. Yep, I'm sorry. It's gonna get weird because we gotta go really in depth on determining our inherent value. This was also really briefly touched on in our last episode, but this time I want to break it down. There are quite a few things that we need to ask ourselves, and just like last time, you're going to be mad at me, and I'm going to tell you I have no answers for you. I'm going to have a lot of questions for you to consider, but I cannot answer any of them for you. When we are determining our inherent value, we need to decide what our labor as an artist and a professional is worth. In that, we need to take into account what our artistry, our experience, our knowledge, and the physical act of providing the content is worth. All of those factor into our labor. Even if you are still at the very beginning of your journey and you're just starting, you still have value in this area because your artistry has value. Your labor has value. Just because you don't have extensive experience or knowledge does not mean your inherent labor does not have value. So the next thing we need to decide on is what our time as a professional is worth. Y'all, you're logging into your job every day when you do this. When you go online to start speaking with clients or doing content, you are at your job. You have clocked in. You deserve to be compensated as such, especially when you are working one-on-one with a client. So now something not everyone really likes to do, but it is important, is looking at the inherent value of our content. What is our content worth? So we need to take into account the logistics of it, so the quality, the creativity, the resolution, the sound. And then, while we're looking at our content's worth, we also need to discuss what its inherent worth is. When we're looking at what our content's inherent worth is, we have to take into account your cost to entry to your body, your sexuality, your sensuality, and your privacy in general. And finally, the big one. What is the inherent value of access to you? You are a commodity in this industry, and you need to be capitalizing off every one of your commodities, which means you need to be capitalizing off the access to you. Yes, your subscribers are getting exclusive access to your content, but they're also getting that exclusive access to your personality and who you are as a person. And you, honey, deserve to be compensated for that. So, now that we've gone and broken down the business aspect of looking at pricing in our spicy adult content creation business, take a deep breath, because we're going to look at the numbers of it all. I know. Big groan, big sigh, eye rolls. We all hate numbers, but I pinky promise these ones might be helpful. Since it is numbers time, let's first start with pricing our subscription-based platforms. If we remember from last year, the only platform we really discussed was OnlyFans. In 2023, the average subscription price for OnlyFans was $8.70. Now, we are looking at a range from $10 to $20. So that was determined by TechReport.com, who said that about 35% of creators fall into that range. From that same source, the average for Fansly subscription prices was very similar, from $10 to $25 of subscription. We do have to remember that Fansly does utilize those tiers, which could account for the higher prices. For those who are direct selling, the average monthly subscription on apps such as Telegram and Snapchat is $15 to $20 monthly, and that yearly average is usually discounted to around $100 a year. Quick little tip, when pricing your monthly subscriptions that are off-platform, love yourself. Do yourself a favor. You are the one responsible for remembering to renew everyone. Do this in bundles of 3, 4, 5, whatever months at a time. This way you don't have to remember to renew every single person, every single month, manually. My number one best tip I could give when it comes to pricing out your subscription-based platform would be to really dive in and research the creators in your niche and brand on that platform. This will help ensure that you remain in market value, but you're coming at this from a competitive edge. And now, y'all, it's time. Let's do it. Let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this thing. I am talking our menu. Before we get into the numbers, let's take a big break. So I've seen a lot of people ask about how and where to make menus. A lot of creators use Canva. I personally use Canva, and I used one of their food menu templates. I mean, it's called a menu. We might as well. Big note on this, though, and kind of an update. I have received 2 email warnings from Canva stating that 2 of my media violated their terms of service. Canva is no longer as sex worker and not safe for work friendly as they once were. Anything not safe for work you upload, immediately delete it and then delete it from your trash. Yes, go into your trash and delete it from your trash, because one of the notices I got was from something in my trash already. Now we're going to get into the numbers. All of the numbers we are discussing are in US dollars, and the sources for this is from r/fetish buyers community. So last year we spent 0 time discussing physical content. So today we're going to go a little bit in depth on that. When we're talking physical content, we're talking worn garments, edible items, and other things we're shipping in the mail. We're going to powerhouse through these, so bear with me. And remember, especially for physical sales, we need to be keeping the cost of goods sold in mind. We need to keep the cost of the item, the cost of the packaging, the cost of the shipping, etc. in mind. And then we can set our price after we have that recouped. We need to also be keeping in mind our labor, because what you're doing is labor. Alright, so the average market range for a 24-hour wear of panties is currently $30. I calculated my rate, including my time and my labor, and it came out to me at bare minimum $50 per pair for 1 day wear. And there are so many extras we can add on to this, so let's just talk about a couple. An extra day's wear can range from $5 to $15 in the market average. Play sessions and not showering also fall in that $5 to $15 range. Extra photos, because most creators will send 1 to 2 proof of wear photos for free as a part of their rate. Extra photos can have a range of $2 to $5 per photo. My rates for all of these are set higher, but that is just what I came to in my calculations of my inherent value, labor, cost of goods, everything stated above. I will also mention most sellers do include shipping and proof of wear pictures, as I mentioned. I personally only include shipping in my price after a buyer has purchased a certain amount. Moving from panties, when we get to bras and lingerie sets, they do tend to be a bit more pricey. They tend to range from $50 to $120 for 1 day of wear. The average market price for socks is $15 to $30 for 1 day wear. And the average market price for stocking or pantyhose averages $30 to $70 for 24 hours of wear. Some creators go even further and provide toys such as dildos, vibrators, what have you. The average market value for that is $30 to $200, but keep in mind that very heavily depends on your cost of goods sold. whatever the cost of that toy was does have to be recouped along with your profit. To then boost physical content earnings, a lot of creators, myself included, will also add digital options, such as digital custom photos and videos. Let's dive into both of those, and as you can tell, we're getting into the digital world. Custom photo sets tend to average from $3 to $5 per picture. This is so variable. So, for example, my photos personally start at $10 each, and that is if they are safe for work. That price goes up if they are not safe for work, and that goes up even higher if they are genital focused. Often creators will also sell in bundles as well, such as 5 photos for $10 or what have you. My bundle is 5 photos for $40. Little tip about custom photos that I literally rely on. Take your client's concept, and after you have all of their shots, snap a shit ton extra using their concept to then edit and post as content, be it on your wall or promotion or what have you. Custom videos are more often priced based on length, most often per minute or in block pricing. Block pricing would be to assign a price per an amount of time. So, for example, $70 for 5 minutes of video. Per minute pricing would be a price charged per minute of the finished video. The average per minute pricing ranges from $5 to $50 per minute. And that's not the only way. You can be making money from customs, y'all. Turn them around and resell them as pre-made videos. If they don't say your client's name or have their image, wham bam, you're ready to go. Repost that as PPV. If they do say your client's name, pop into your editing software and just cut that out. Pre-made videos currently sell on average $2 to $5 per minute. So y'all, get that bag from your custom content. Make your content work for you. Obviously, pre-made and custom content really only scratches the surface of what we have on our menus, so let's talk a couple lives. The first thing worth keeping in mind here would be that most creators will add extra fees for specific things, like outfit requests, name use, penetration, fetish requests, and other extras along those lines. These are really great places to make a little bit of a bonus tip on top of your base rate. Don't discount or ignore those. The services we're going to focus on today are camming, sexting, rates, and GFEs. We are going to go a little fairly in-depth on GFEs. But first, cam to cam, camming, video calls, whatever you want to call it, live shows between you and your client usually are within the range of $5 to $10 per minute. Most creators do sell per minute and have minimum length requirements. Some sell in block pricing. Personally, I do not, as I find it does not bring in nearly the same amount of profit. And clients are willing to pay for extended calls. For example, within the last month, I had a client pay for an hour and 45-minute long cam call, and that was at $10 per minute, y'all. Sexting is also usually sold per minute or at block prices. Often it's broken down into tiers, so text only, or with pictures and videos. The average market value rate for sexting with pictures and videos is $3 a minute. Let's talk about that, shall we? Because y'all, in my mind, that is freaking insanity. Can we just very quickly look at what sexting is broken down? You need to be in a role for an extended period of time. You need to be catering specifically to a client's need for that time. You need to be creating high quality, live, custom content in that time and delivering it immediately upon request. We need to be thinking on the fly the entire time while acting. Holy crap, that is so much. In my mind, that is worth so much more than $3 a minute. Which is why from the day I started until the day I raise my prices, my sexting rate will be $7 a minute. Now, ratings are very, very, very variable because they often have many tiers. So the first tier we usually see would be a text-only rating and description, which usually averages from $10 to $20. An audio-only rating usually averages from $15 to $30, depending on the length. And video ratings often have even more variables. They range anywhere from $20 to $60, which, again, depends on length, any additions the client wants, such as topless, nudity, their name used, etc. Get those extras, y'all. Now, remember I mentioned we were going to go a little in-depth on GFEs? Let's go ahead and do that. When we break down GFEs, or girlfriend experiences, we have to keep in mind this is going to be a very long, extended, and involved service. First, we need to designate an amount of time you are willing to dedicate to an individual client, and then help determine your rate based on that. Also, when determining your rate, you need to have decided what you will be providing within that GFE. So, let's look at mine for a quick example. I personally provide a 10-minute sexting session and a 10-minute cam session, along with the normal chatting, video clips, pictures, etc. My GFE is only 4 hours long, and it is $200. Here's how I came to that rate. First, I calculated the value of all the services I will be providing. So that 10-minute cam has a value of $100. That sexting session has a value of $70. And then, here's how I kind of worked this out. My Telegram channel subscription is $30, and with that comes safe for work texting with me. So I just kind of transferred that rate over and valued all of the pictures throughout the day, the chatting throughout the day at $30. Put those 3 services together and it totaled out to $200 for that 4 hours. That being said, the average market rate for a solid 1-day GFE is $50 to $100, which I won't say anything, but you are worth premium pricing. Alright, we did it. I know that was a lot to throw at you. Now, roll your shoulders. We made it. We look at pricing our content throughout our spicy adult content business. We have a multitude of factors to go through. If you go through the process we just lined out one step at a time, find your overhead costs, then your cost of goods sold, then your inherent values, and then break down your menu, it will really help take this scary and overwhelming task and make it a lot more straightforward. How you decide to price your business in the end comes down to you. No one can make the final decision on this but you as your own business owner. I know that is so frustrating to hear, and I remember hearing it time and time again and just wanting to rip my hair out because I just needed an answer. I followed this little formula, I followed these steps, and that's how I came to my prices. And I am 1.5 years into this, and I am still solid on these prices. In fact, the only changes have been that some have gone up due to demand. Alrighty, y'all. This was dense and number-packed. So, thank you so much for sitting with me, tolerating me, and bearing through all this. This has been Allie, sitting with you here with Creator's Spicy Tea, and I hope you are absolutely safe, absolutely sane, and absolutely flourishing in this world of spicy content creation.